Welcome to Retiring Right. Mike has been helping families plan for a successful retirement. Mike Reese of Centennial Advisors will help you learn about strategies for creating income in retirement, managing your wealth, and minimizing taxes. You're watching Retiring Right.
Welcome into our show here today with Mike Reese, and it is always a pleasure to talk with you. We have a big topic today, the cost of health care in retirement. So we'll get into that in just a moment. Glad to have you here.
Of course, and yeah, you're right. Healthcare is always a big deal, is one of the things that can bankrupt us in retirement. So we want to make sure that our, kind of our bases are covered, right?
Okay, let's set the scene for our viewers. Do you know the true cost of healthcare? One of the biggest surprises people face in retirement can be healthcare costs. Many people just aren't prepared for how quickly these costs can add up. But the good news, you can take control and plan ahead. Today, Mike is here to help you understand ways to preserve your savings from the rising cost of healthcare. And let's just start with the basics. I think it's always important to begin at the very beginning. Mike, why are healthcare costs such a big deal in retirement? I know our listeners are very interested in this topic.
Yeah, and healthcare, of course, it's one of the 5 areas you have to cover in retirement. So in our office, as you know, Amy, we have what's called the Retiring Right process. Right being an acronym: risk, income, growth, healthcare, and taxes. The H is healthcare. One of the areas you absolutely need to plan for when it comes to your retirement. Why are healthcare expenses higher in retirement? Well, it's kind of obvious. It's because we get older. And as we get older, our bodies break down. And guess what? We go see the doctor more. And the doctor says you need to do more stuff. And of course, that costs money. But in the system that we have here in the United States, we have Medicare as primary for those who are 65 and older who are retired, right? If you're still working, you might still have company insurance, but you're retired. Medicare is where we start. And Medicare, a lot of people don't realize, but it's a really good coverage between Medicare and the supplement. It covers, pretty much 90% of what you want to have covered. There are some things it doesn't cover that can be pretty expensive, but that's not most people. Here's the part that people don't realize. So it's kind of the behind the scenes. The price, your annual premium for Part B, that's going up at like 6-7% a year. And that goes fast, right? So people don't pay attention to that. And the other thing is, if your income gets to be too high, then you get hit with something called IRMA. And that's where you end up paying more premiums for your Medicare. And when you're in required minimum distribution times in your retirement, you've got RMDs coming in, that can push you into IRMA real fast, especially for a single person. So expenses for healthcare, I think it's absolutely normal for someone to be worried about it, especially in their retirement years.
Okay, let me ask you this. Why then do some people, maybe a lot of people, tend to underestimate these costs?
Yeah, one of the things they completely ignore too is long-term care, right? What if you need long-term care? 70% of people do. And part of it is, Amy, let me ask you this question.
Okay.
If you had to tell me, well, Mike, here is exactly how much they're taking out of my paycheck every month for taxes. They withhold taxes. How much are they taking out? Could you tell me what that number is?
Some people may know this. I tend to not know this number.
Answer. I'll bet you less than 10%.
Most people don't.
I'll bet you less than 10% of people could give you that answer. Right. Nobody knows what it is. Why? It just gets withheld. Yeah. We only pay attention to the bottom line.
We just know it's not there.
Yeah. Guess what? What happens with Medicare? Where does that come from? It comes from Social Security. So what's happening is you get your Social Security and the Medicare is just deducted out, just like taxes are. So it doesn't take very long before we just kind of start ignoring it. We only focus on, well, how much is being deposited into my bank account every month? That can be, every year, those, like, hey, your Social Security check goes up, but so does Medicare. Before you know it, that Medicare expense is it's getting up there pretty fast.
Okay, what about prescription drug costs? This is very concerning for a lot of people as they age. We obviously add to our arsenal of medications that
Yeah.
we have to take, whether we want to or not. That cost can really get you sometimes.
Yeah, it sure can. But here's the thing: as you may be aware, Amy, of course, if it gets too expensive, there's always Guido down at the corner that's selling some off-brand drugs. Maybe we could use, right? No, we're
No,
not going to do that.
let's not.
Obviously not. Um, you make light of it. I make light of it a little bit. One of the good things is for a lot of the drugs that are required, they're on, a lot of times 30-day, 90-day programs. Hey, I've got a medication, some kind of a thyroid medication I've got to take, and I'm not on Medicare yet, but still, it's like 90 days, and it doesn't they don't cost that much. A lot of prescription drugs are covered, but where we get into trouble is when you have those conditions that require something that goes outside of what Medicare covers. And those things can get to be really expensive really fast. I mean, I know people that are spending thousands of dollars a month on off Medicare prescriptions. So, the price can be pretty challenging. And, again, that's a challenge we all have to plan for.
Okay. All right. Very good. We've got more coming up. We will dive into some simple strategies to help you prepare for these costs and keep your savings safe. And later, Mike will cover some of the things you should know about long-term care. Stay with us.
How does your future look in retirement? When you don't have a strategy, the future might look a little fuzzy. But with someone asking the right questions and helping you learn where you truly stand, it can become easier to work towards your goals. You need a plan to help generate income that will last as long as you need it. And the first step to creating an income plan is an analysis of where you are now. Let us help you bring your retirement into focus with your free income analysis today.
On the surface, your retirement plan might look solid. With your 401k or IRA, Social Security, investments, and insurance coverage, you appear to have it all covered. But what could you be missing? Below the surface, is your retirement exposed to too much risk? It's time for a deeper dive into your portfolio. We can help you uncover the risk that lies beneath the surface and learn about strategies to help preserve your savings. Get your free risk analysis today.
Welcome back to Retiring Right. Earlier, we talked about how big healthcare costs can be in retirement. Now let's get into the solutions. And Mike has joined me once again to tell us what people can do now to help protect their savings from medical expenses later. And because, again, we don't ever know what health event may happen in our life.
Right.
Will our savings be enough to cover it? Some of these can be monumental expenses.
Yeah, they can be pretty crazy. So there are some steps you can take, right? First thing, by the way, everyone, if you have it available, you've got to do a health savings account. You've got to. They are like the coolest thing since sliced bread. Health savings accounts, or HSAs, Amy, they are the only thing in the tax code that gives you tax benefits at all three levels. And by that, I mean you get a tax deduction for the money that goes in, the money grows with no tax, and when you pull the money out, as long as you pull it out for medical expenses, again, tax-free. You want to hear the coolest thing about these? Like, you can literally, while you're working, still contributing to your HSA, if you have a medical expense, just keep the receipt. It's a little trick for you. Keep the receipt.
Okay.
20 years later, you might need some money. You can pull out your HSA tax-free and match it up against that receipt. It's like crazy. I know, don't tell anybody. I hope we're not
I don't think anybody.
Yeah, I hope we're not recording
No,
this.
we're
I don't want
good.
everybody to know.
We're good.
But it's kind of a cool thing. But the point is, HSAs are really, really flexible. They're very powerful, and they can be used for medical expenses in a tax-free manner. So I would start with that for sure.
Okay. What about people who don't have a lot of money saved up? Is it too late for them at this point?
Again, never too late. It's not. Come on, it's never too late. You always
have to ask.
You set me up for these, don't you? Yeah. Look, it's never ever too late to start planning. Always helps, and even if it only helps in small ways, it's still better than nothing, right? It's still better than nothing. So we need to be thinking about, and for everyone watching, that look, we need to think about how you're going to manage healthcare expenses. HSAs are helpful. The other thing, long-term care, you got to be thinking about what are we going to do there. Long-term care can be financially devastating, and I've seen way too many families essentially lose everything because of it. Like all their savings gone because of a long-term care event. You need to start sitting down with someone and saying, hey, let me learn my options, right? You need to learn your options. And as long as you can learn your options, then you just start like anything else. Chip away at it, right? Chip away. You don't have to have a complete solution all at once. It's okay to chip away at things and get closer to where you want to be.
Still, though, Mike, everybody would love to be able to estimate at least kind of what could come down the road.
Yeah.
What's the potential? And we can base that off of maybe our family history a little bit,
right?
Not always. But how do we do that so we can start kind of planning and maybe know what to expect a little bit?
Yeah, so one of the things that we would do, if you were to come in the office and talk with us, we're going to sit down and say, hey, let's talk a little bit about, we do want to know a little bit about family history. Sure. What's your longevity look like? If you had issues like this happen in your family, right? I have 2 grandmothers. Both grandmothers, here's the thing. Both my grandmothers died in their 80s in nursing homes from Alzheimer's. And they were both needing care for the last 7-8 years of their lives, right? In both cases, now my one grandmother, she was the equivalent, she had money. And when she died, there was pretty much nothing left. It all went to healthcare. My other grandmother, not as much money. She was on Medicaid for the longest time. But these expenses, what's really good, there's a website out there. If you look up Genworth, cost of care, this is for long-term care, type in Genworth cost of care in your Google search, okay, and it'll take you to a website. It can tell you here, you put in your zip code, it'll tell you here's what it costs for home health care, assisted living, and nursing homes in your market today. But what's really cool about it, Amy, is there's a little slider, and you can slide it to the future. And you say, well, what is the price projected to be when I'm, 83 or 85 or something like that? That's what the age when you probably need care. And then you're like, oh my goodness, so that's what the price is likely to be. Okay, now I've got a number that I can start thinking about and I can start planning for.
Anything else we need to be thinking about? I know there's so much that we could cover in this broad topic of healthcare, and I know you're going to touch base on us later in your interactive segment, right, but what else are we missing?
I'll tell you what, when it comes to healthcare, I think the couple of things that people just need to know, when it comes to Medicare, you can do this kind of, again, another little tip. You can do traditional Medicare or you can do the Medicare Advantage. Just be aware when you're evaluating that. Traditional Medicare costs a little bit more early, but it saves you money long term. Medicare Advantage, very inexpensive early when you're healthy, but as you get older, body breaks down. Now the costs start rolling in. There are literally, I think I saw a recent study where roughly there are just tons of people who are older that want to switch from Advantage to the traditional because they're older and the expenses are coming in. They can't do it because they don't qualify from a health perspective anymore. So that's just something to think about. Don't miss out on that. And again, be aware about long-term care. Like stop, do not bury your head in the sand. Pay attention to it. I know I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but man, it is something you really got to pay attention to.
Okay, Mike, thank you so much. Coming up next, Mike will fill us in about long-term care. We'll go a little deeper into that subject, and we'll be right back, right here on Retiring Right.
When it comes to planning for the future, time may not always be on your side. Think about your taxes. Tax rates are historically low right now, but they'll likely be higher in the future. With the right planning and strategy, you might be able to cut your tax bill in the years to come. But don't wait until it's too late to take advantage of today's lower tax rates. Let us be your partner in planning for tomorrow so you can enjoy your retirement today.
How does your future look in retirement? When you don't have a strategy, the future might look a little fuzzy. But with someone asking the right questions and helping you learn where you truly stand, it can become easier to work towards your goals. You need a plan to help generate income that will last as long as you need it. And the first step to creating an income plan is an analysis of where you are now. Let us help you bring your retirement into focus with your free income analysis today.
Welcome back. One of the most potentially expensive forms of healthcare that you may need in retirement is long-term care. Mike will tell us a bit more about what to think of this potentially major expense. Mike?
Thanks, Amy. On today's Chalk Talk, we are going to be talking about the 3 different ways that you can pay for long-term care expenses. And I know it's not something you necessarily want to talk about, but the reality is that once you hit age 65, there is a 70% chance that you're going to need long-term care. And we are talking an expense that Medicare does not cover, and it could literally come up to be hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. For many people, this takes a huge chunk out of your savings, and maybe all of it, you never know. So what can we do to pay for this beast? And what are some smart steps? So number one, if you are in a position, you've got a couple million saved for retirement, or you have strong pensions, you're getting, I don't know, 10, 15,000 a month, guess what? You can probably self-insure. And there's nothing wrong with that. Self-insure simply means if this were to happen, then you, my friends, are going to pay for it. And like I said, for a lot of people, that's a perfectly acceptable answer. Number 2. Traditional long-term care insurance. Now, this is the one that I probably personally do not like the most. Traditional long-term care insurance is like car insurance. It's a use it or lose it approach. So what does that really mean? You pay premiums. Well, first, by the way, you have to get approved. And let me let you in on a little secret here. These long-term care insurance companies, the ones that do traditional long-term care, they've learned that it is a losing money business. They lose money like crazy on that business. And insurance companies, they hate losing money. So number one, they're going to make it really hard for you to actually qualify for this insurance. And if you can get it, it's going to be pretty expensive. And as you own it over the years, they're going to increase your premiums on you. So it becomes one of these games, especially get into older ages, you're like, gosh, do I even want to keep this stuff anymore? Bottom line, it's an option, not one that I would encourage you to spend a ton of time looking at. The third option, though, this is the one that most people are really paying attention to these days. If you're trying to say, look, I can't afford to pay for it myself, or I don't want to, I would prefer to transition some of that risk to an insurance company. So the third option is simply this. There are life insurance contracts and annuities these days that provide, they're really built for long-term care. So life insurance is a very popular option if you qualify. These can be single pay, you could be a 5-pay, a 10-pay, or maybe a lifetime pay, but essentially you're buying a life insurance contract where if you never need long-term care, it pays a death benefit out to somebody. So say you buy a $500,000 contract. Great, you die, your beneficiary gets $500,000 tax-free. But if you need long-term care along the way, then that death benefit can be accelerated. It can be paid to you, also tax-free, to pay for those long-term care expenses. So let's say that $500,000 contract, you need, $300,000 of long-term care over your life. And then you die. Well, whatever's remaining, the $200,000 left over, goes to your beneficiaries. It is not quite that clean, fair warning. It's not quite like that, but it's pretty darn close. Annuities, on the other hand, you just make a one-time payment and hey, I put $100,000 in this annuity and boom, next thing you know, maybe $300,000 of long-term care benefit. And again, a lot depends on your health on that one. You just have to make sure you're insurable to some degree. But the point is simply this. When it comes to paying for the catastrophic expenses of long-term care, you can pay for it yourself. You can use traditional long-term care insurance or one of these newer approaches with life insurance and annuities. The key, don't ignore it. Do the math, do the homework, figure out which way best works for you.
Thanks so much, Mike. Up next, we'll answer your questions about retirement. Stay right here. You're watching Retiring Right.
When it comes to planning for the future, time may not always be on your side. Think about your taxes. Tax rates are historically low right now, but they'll likely be higher in the future. With the right planning and strategy, you might be able to cut your tax bill in the years to come. But don't wait until it's too late to take advantage of today's lower tax rates. Let us be your partner in planning for tomorrow so you can enjoy your retirement today.
On the surface, your retirement plan might look solid. With your 401k or IRA, Social Security, investments, and insurance coverage, you appear to have it all covered. But what could you be missing? Below the surface, is your retirement exposed to too much risk? It's time for a deeper dive into your portfolio. We can help you uncover the risk that lies beneath the surface and learn about strategies to help preserve your savings. Get your free risk analysis today.
Welcome back. Time to jump into your questions now. And Mike has decided to join us once again for this segment. And I always say, are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Let's do this.
Let's do this. Okay. This first one is from Lucy in Austin. My husband is set to retire soon, but I don't feel like he's really ready to leave his career behind. We've saved well, so the money isn't an issue, but I just don't think he's mentally prepared. His job has been such a big part of his identity all these years. Is there anything we could do to help him feel more excited about retirement? Mental aspect of retiring from a career that many years is very difficult, I imagine.
It is. This actually is a big challenge, and especially for a lot of men who they get their identity from their careers and what they did for a living. They've contributed oftentimes so much to their industry, and now they're like, well, what am I going to do next? Like, it's hard to let go. You walk away from all your friends at the office, and what are you going to do next? So a couple of things you might want to think about, and Lucy, that you might want to, just ideas to maybe put on the table. A lot of our clients who are in this same type of position, what they do is, instead of retiring, going straight from working full-time to retiring full-time, what they'll do is they'll say, well, what if I maybe did a little consulting? What if I went from full-time work to maybe part-time consulting? So you still keep your finger in the mix, as it were, and then move on from there. The one comment that I really like to share with people is this. It sounds like they might be in this position. If you're in a position where you're never going to spend all the money you already have right now, then heads up, you're working for free. You are working for free because every dollar you make, you're never going to spend. So you're working for free. If you're okay working for free, keep doing it. But remember this, nobody, Amy, and I mean nobody, on their deathbed looks back and says, gee, I wished I would have kept working. Every one of them, I should have retired sooner. I should have spent my remaining years living my best life. So, I would keep that in mind too.
Okay, good advice, as always. Okay, this is from James in San Antonio. The world seems so crazy these days between Congress, the White House, and all the chaos in other countries. I feel really concerned about my retirement. Is it actually possible to feel more confident about preserving my money and my lifestyle when there's so much uncertainty with everything?
Welcome, James, to feeling like everyone has felt in every single year of my career. Like, so here's the thing. Everybody's
no matter what's going on in the world, right?
Yeah, everybody's like, oh my gosh, this has never been happening before. Mm-hmm. Heads up, James. Yes, it has. The world's been in worse places, and yet we've come out okay. So here's what I will tell you. Focus on what you can control, not what you cannot control. Now, is Congress and the White House crazy and chaotic? Yes. As far as I'm concerned, they're a bunch of knuckleheads. Always they're a bunch of knuckleheads. They're never anything other than just messed up, right? But here's the point. We can't control that. What we can control is, how do we structure our portfolio? Like, how are we structuring our savings? Do we have enough money in safe and stable places? Do we have a good foundation? Do we have enough in growth accounts? Is someone sitting down with you every year looking at your tax planning, your healthcare planning? Are you touching all 5 areas of the retiring right process of risk, income, growth, healthcare, taxes? As long as you focus on what you can control, guess what? Odds are very good everything's going to work out. And all this nonsense that's going on, guess what? You'll hear different nonsense next year and different nonsense a year after. It's always going to be something.
Mike, sometimes I wish you'd bring a little more passion to what you talk about here on this show. I really do.
That's a big problem I have, isn't it?
I know.
Yeah.
All right, this question is from Anita in Georgetown. I have a financial advisor, but I feel like I don't hear from him very much. When there's a big market dip or a big global event, I feel like I'm always the one that has to call him, not the other way around. The returns are nice, but I just don't feel important to his firm. Is it time to look for a new advisor?
Yes. Do I need to answer any more on that?
I think that's pretty,
No, the answer, by the way, here's the deal. I have a little fun with this, but here's the reality. You're paying your advisor to be an advisor. And part of the job of an advisor is staying in touch with you and helping you be aware of, hey, here's what's going on out there in the world, and here's what we're doing with your money to make sure you're safe. And if they're not calling you and you got to call them every time you turn around, hey, clearly time for a new advisor. You can do better and you deserve better.
Some people just have a hard time with that, though. I think they just struggle with this idea of they've been with somebody for a long time, and it's not easy to move on.
Yeah, I understand that. We actually have, when someone comes on board with us, we actually give them, we tell them, here's what you tell them, right? Here's what you tell them.
It's already
here's what you
scripted
email
out.
them. Like, the bottom line is, you deserve better. And at the end of the day, if they're ignoring you or they're not paying attention to you, time to move on. It's that simple.
Okay, one more from Peter in Bernie. I've heard so many horror stories about annuities. For a long time, everyone told me to avoid them, but now it seems like they're making a comeback. Are annuities something I should give another look?
And, just real quickly, because I know we're running short on time, but Amy, here's a simple answer to that. Annuities are just another asset class. If you're looking for a safe place to earn a decent rate of return, or you're looking for income for part of your portfolio, you owe it to yourself to look at annuities because they may fit part of what you're doing. But like any other tool, like stocks, when it comes to the stock market, a bunch of stocks, they're not really for you. Some are. When it comes to mutual funds, some are for you, a lot aren't. Annuities are the same way.
Okay, Mike, thank you so much. Great insight as always. And if you are ready to create a tax-efficient retirement plan designed to protect your wealth, generate income for life, and leave a lasting legacy, now is the time to connect with the team at Centennial Advisors. For Mike Reese and the entire team, I'm Amy Sharp. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week on Retiring Right.